name is Joe Sena, and today I am here at Camp Zama, and we are talking about resiliency. We are talking about attacking adversity, and we're talking about not running away from the things you're fearful of, but instead heading right into them. Stay tuned. I grew up in a crazy neighborhood in Queens, and that neighborhood had 5 bosses of the organized crime families. You guys and ladies probably remember reading about in the papers. And this was, 1970s. It was a crazy time. People went to jail. People are still in jail. People got killed. I was a young kid, and I aspired to be, just like kids my age, one of those people. I wanted a nice car. I wanted respect. And unbeknownst to me, the neighbor, my dad's neighbor, was the boss of the Bonanno organized crime family. When my dad ran into some adversity, I went over to my neighbor's house. And my neighbor took me in, and he had me clean his swimming pool. I was pre-teens. I was 11, 12 years old. And he taught me how to get into business because he saw my father was having tough times. My father was losing all his money and his businesses. He had got over-levered and went through some tough times, which were tough for him, but great for me because it toughened me up. Anyway, this guy takes me in, and he has me clean his swimming pool for $35 a week. And he teaches me a bunch of things we're going to talk about today that I didn't know were going to transform my life. And if you all could take some of these things away, it'll transform your life. Does everybody have a piece of paper and a pen? Because I'm going to ask you some questions along the way that I'm hoping you could take notes and then reflect on them back at home, on the base, or whatever, because I really think if in 1 hour you could take what it's taken me 35 years to gather, I promise you, if you follow this system, we'll call it, you'll 10x your life. So anyway, he takes me in, I build up this business. My mom, this is 1970s Queens, my mom finds yoga, meditation, health food. She wants to get out of this neighborhood. So she meets a yogi in a health food store, and she literally becomes a vegan. And she starts meditating, and she gets my sister and I into this crazy lifestyle. Not so crazy today because now there's Whole Foods and people are talking about yoga and meditation, but 1970s it was insane, right? People used to laugh at my mom. My sister and I laughed at my mom. So anyway, she moves us to upstate New York, and I'm going back and forth between upstate New York and New York City to run this business I built. The business goes beyond swimming pools, and it turns into a construction company, and I'm doing bricklaying and rebuilding houses. Well, I'm about to graduate high school. I have no interest in going to college, and a friend of mine in high school in Ithaca, New York, upstate New York, says, "Hey, why don't we go to Cornell University?" And I thought, well, my grades aren't that good. I've never really studied. I got this business in New York. I don't even know how we would get into Cornell. I had not applied for any colleges. There were 3 months to go before we graduated high school. And he says, well, don't worry. My dad's a professor at Cornell. He'll get us in. And I thought, well, that's the way the neighborhood worked, right? You knew somebody and you had connections, so he'll probably get us in. So anyway, we interviewed to go to Cornell. His dad was the professor. He was definitely going to get in. I had a shot at getting in because of the connection. Neither of us got in. So I said, I'm just going to go run my business back in Queens. And he says, well, don't be so quick. He says, my dad told me that we can take classes even though we're not accepted. And if we do well in those classes, then they have to accept us. So I noodled on that, and I thought, all right, this sounds interesting. Just the fact that they didn't accept me, I became more interested. I wanted to go to college. And if I was going to go to any college, I want to go to Ivy League. So I said, all right, well, I got to go back to Queens to run my business for the summer. Why don't I go to St. John's University, get a leg up, learn how to study, and then when we go to Cornell this winter, I'll know what I'm doing and I'll probably do better. And he says, screw that. He says, I'm going to go to Vegas for the summer. I want to party all summer because if we're going to buckle down in September, why would I kill my summer? So we diverged. He went to Vegas. I went to St. John's. I studied. I ran my business, kept building the business. Came back to Cornell, we crushed it. We both did pretty well that first semester. I got 2 A's and a B, which for me was tremendous because my SAT scores were terrible. I was not a good student. I applied come January, and they didn't accept me, and they didn't accept him. So he went to UNLV, he went to Vegas, and I said, I'm not quitting. I'm going to now do another semester at Cornell until they accept me. So I did another semester. I did very well. I applied. They didn't accept me. That summer, I went and ran my business again, came back, did another semester at Cornell. They didn't accept me. Now I'm getting really far behind because you're only allowed to take 3 classes. All my peers are taking 5 classes, so I'm losing 6 credits a semester. And I'm starting to get broken, like anybody out there that's been broken when things aren't going well. And it's been over a year now, and they're not accepting me. Clearly, this is not working. So my mother says to me, I think I'm 4 semesters in, so I'm done 2 years, still not gotten accepted. And I'm thinking I'm just going to pack it in, forget about college. This isn't for me. Run my business. I'm making lots of money. I've got all these organized crime customers. I'm feeling like a big man on campus, even though I'm not officially on campus. And my mom says, hey, I teach yoga to this woman who I think is a teacher at Cornell. Why don't you go meet her before you pack it in and give up school? So I thought my mother has no connections. She's like weird. She's into yoga. She's into health food. My dad would have the connections being from the neighborhood. So my mom sets up this meeting. I sit down with this Professor Racine, Anita Racine. And we sit down and she says to me, I run this textile department. We study, clothing, and there are 96 women in the department, and there's no men. Do you like textiles? And I said, I love textiles. I didn't even know what a textile really was, right? And so she accepts me, and she changes my life. And when I think back, and again, some of the things we're going to talk about here and some of the notes I want you to take, I could have quit, right? I could have quit after that first semester, the second semester, third semester, and I should have quit. But I stuck with it. She accepts me, I get in, and what I'm about to tell you now is not patting myself on the back. I'm just really proud of myself, and it just goes to show you what a human being's capable of, right? I was terrible at school. My SAT scores were terrible. Cornell didn't accept me. Last semester, I've got to make up, I don't even know how many credits. Let's call it 12 credits to graduate on time because, again, those first 4 semesters, I wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. Well, I took, I don't know what the number was, like 29 credits. Everybody else was doing 15. I made Dean's List. And it just goes to show you, if you put your head towards anything, you get it done. Even from, and I'm not a smart guy. If I was a smart guy, I would have got accepted right into the school like all the other people that did. But I just put my head down and I said, I'm going to do this. And I did it. So anyway, I graduate. Just before graduating, I meet this older Italian guy, 55 years old. And he sees something in me because I'm from an Italian neighborhood. He sees I'm a hustler, I work hard. And he says, what are you doing after school? I said, well, I built this business, this construction company and swimming pool business, so I'm going to go back to Queens and I'm going to run that business. He said, boy, you should go to Wall Street. He said, with your work ethic and the little bit I know about you, you should really go work in finance. And I thought, well, one, I never really want to sit on a computer and just hang out in an office all day. I want to be outside. I kind of like doing the construction work. And 2, I don't know anything about finance. I don't know how I would get a job there. And I remember the 1987 crash, so I assumed nobody was making money in finance. Anyway, I didn't listen to him. But there was an interesting lesson there that we'll bring up later, which is I always gravitated towards elders, people that were older, people that were successful. You'd be surprised how older people want to help you. They only get frustrated when you don't listen. But don't be afraid to ask successful people for help. Anyway, this guy sees something, I leave and I go run my business. Every month, on the month, upon graduation, he calls me every month for 12 months and 24 months and 36 months. For 5 years out of school, he's calling me every month and he's saying, hey, how come you didn't go to Wall Street? How come you didn't listen to me? Why don't you go get a job? Why don't you interview? And now my business has taken off. We're literally doing millions of dollars a year. We've got trucks. We've got all these wise guy customers. And again, I'm feeling like the big man on campus. Well, I'm 25 years old. I've been graduated now for, 6 years. And he gives me a stock tip. Calls me up and he says, look, if you're not going to listen to me, I want you to go buy a stock. And so I buy this, he talks me into it, and I buy this stock, and I never bought a stock before. And the next day, the stock goes up. And I thought, man, I got to go to Wall Street. This is so much easier than laying bricks and doing all this cement work. So I sold my business. I interviewed for jobs for about 6 months on Wall Street, and I landed a job. Now, I didn't have an edge like everybody else did because they had been there right out of school. They understood the whole business. I was cleaning swimming pools and laying bricks. What did I know about finance? But it was actually a good thing. And the reason it was a good thing is because as I sat there and I watched how the business worked, it didn't make any sense to me. It was ridiculous. There were too many people making money. There was a lot of inefficiency. And I thought I could do this better. Now, who the hell was I? Again, pool cleaner, barely got into school, to be in a Wall Street firm on Park Avenue where they're making millions and millions of dollars to give them advice on how to run a business in that industry. Anyway, I rolled up my sleeves and I decided, you know what? I'm going to start my own business here on Wall Street. Again, everybody around me said, you're nuts. You don't know what you're doing. Why would anybody do business with you? Sure enough, I opened up my business. They were right. We were open for 9 months and we were going out of business. I couldn't get any customers to deal with me. I had no reputation. I wasn't in the industry for a long time. And then I just persisted, and we were literally down to like our last week of payroll. And a customer from Credit Suisse First Boston called up, the phone rang. Somebody happened to be out that he would have normally called. He called me. I picked up the phone. I took my first order, and he changed my life. And again, when I look back at that year of owning my own business where I burned through all my money, and I was about literally all my money, the 10 plus years of building a construction company, I burned all my money running this business. I should have quit, but I didn't quit. The phone rang, I took the order, and again, it changed my life forever. From there, I built that business. I sold it in 2005. My father-in-law is in the crowd here somewhere, but I met his daughter and married her. We bought a farm in Vermont. We got cows, we got chickens, and we raised kids. We have 4 children. Vermont is another lesson for everybody out here that we'll take away and we'll talk about. So I buy this farm. I made a bunch of money on Wall Street. I had a very fortunate 10-year run just from that phone call forward. And I decided, I'm going to build a general store in this cool little town of Vermont. I'm going to build a farm. I'm going to build a wedding business because I thought I was really good at building businesses. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build this farm and this general store and this wedding business, and I'm going to find young people like all of you to come in, hungry people like I was, and they're going to run these businesses. And I'll just make, they'll pay me rent, or we'll work out some kind of business deal so that I could live the rest of my life on this farm. And I did that from 2005, probably 2004 to 2013, and it failed miserably. I went through 10 different people at the general store, still going through people. I went through 10 different people on the farm. I went through 10 different people at the wedding business. And I'm scratching my head because I built a great construction company. I went into Wall Street, an industry I didn't know. I built that. I got into Cornell. Why can't I get these businesses in Vermont to work? Why did people keep quitting or did not work out? And it occurred to me, which is exactly what we're going to talk about here, that the reason they were failing and the reason I was failing was because you can't give somebody a business. In other words, I couldn't build this beautiful general store, put all the inventory in it, have them take the keys, and then they don't have a mortgage, they're not sweating, they didn't tell all their friends they're going to do this, they didn't put all their own money into it. Because as soon as the going got tough, what'd they do? They quit. They quit at the wedding business, they quit on the farm. Farming is the hardest business ever. You can't imagine how many farmers I've been through. It doesn't work unless you are back against the wall. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong, but you're on the hook reputationally, you're on the hook financially, right? Your wife's going to kill you if this doesn't work, and so you make it work. And so when I think back, I had to make Cornell work, right? I had to make the pool business work. I had to make, my dad had lost everything. I had to make Wall Street work because I'd blown through 10 years of money. But all the people I brought into these businesses, they didn't have to make it work. Going got tough and they quit. So anyway, that's my background. I just wanted to give you a little concept of where I come from so that when we get into this stuff, maybe you give me some credit that I know what I'm talking about here. 2010, while on the farm, nothing's working, I decided to start Spartan Race. And I'm going to get involved and I'm going to do this myself. And the reason I'm going to do it is because my mom got a lot of people healthy with yoga and meditation and all the stuff that was wacky at the time in the 1970s. And I liked the fact that everybody she got into this stuff got healthy. and it transformed their life, and maybe they stopped drinking, and maybe they lost weight, maybe they got back together with their husband or wife. And so I said, we're going to do this on a big scale. It's going to be military-inspired obstacle courses. It's going to be named Spartan, which is the most badass name on the planet. We got lucky with that. And I'm going to put some money towards it. Well, because I'm a glutton for punishment, a small investment in 2010 turned into a bigger investment in 2011. And in 2012, there I was again, back against the wall. Business was losing money. And my bookkeeper comes, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're running out of money with this crazy thing called Spartan. And I said, I tell you, there's something here. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but it feels like it's going to work. And today, we are the largest endurance company in the world. We're 1 million participants a year. We get 1 million people a day to our website and social networks. We're at 200 events globally, 30 countries. So another example of back against the wall, should have quit. I should have quit 20 times, and we made it work. Again, no magic. I'm definitely not smarter than anybody out here. I just don't quit. And let me tell you, I should have quit this morning. Like, the bad news I get on a daily basis for the last 35 years will make your hair curl. But I stick with it. So adversity, my point is, adversity is the path to success, and you can train for it. Can you flip the slide? So this, I don't know if you can see this slide well, but basically what I'm showing here is on the left, the vertical is grit and determination, right? 100 years ago, 200 years ago, we had enormous grit and determination. We just wanted the sun to come up. We probably fought lions and tigers, right? We had really tough days. We would go horseback riding, right? Maybe the horse would die, grandma would be in the carriage, the wheel breaks, stuff goes wrong, but we just dealt with it on a daily basis. Today, very little grit and determination. And we live in this bubble. That's the red circle there and the green circle. We live in a bubble that we don't want to go out of. We want to sit on the couch. That's inside the bubble. We want to watch TV, right? We want coffee at the perfect temperature when we want it. We want drive-thrus. And what I'm suggesting, what we're talking about here today, is getting outside the bubble. Because when you get outside the bubble, and by the way, the only thing keeping you in the bubble is your mind. You're physically capable of going back up that scale and having lots of grit and determination. This is just something called learned helplessness. Like, we learn to be helpless, right? Because all those things that are comfortable around us. And when you get outside that bubble, which is what I just described the last 35 years of my life, magic happens. Great stuff happens. Those are the things you're going to remember at the end of your life. Flip the slide. Just another way of looking at it, right? 100 years, 200 years ago, left side tolerance, we had huge tolerance for pain. Just want the sun to come up. I'll wrestle a lion to the death so that I don't die, right? And we had very little expectations. Today we have huge expectations. There better be Wi-Fi on the airplane. The coffee better be there when I say it. The kids better not scream when I'm on the phone. And low tolerance for pain. And what we're going to talk about today, what we are talking about today, is flipping that on its head. How do we get all of you to have a high tolerance for pain and really low expectations? Because if you got really low expectations in life, guess what? You're going to be happy with whatever comes your way, right? If you're expecting that today you're going to get fired, extreme example, and you don't get fired, well, you're happy. If you're expecting, create some negative thing in your head. I've got this great attribute. I don't know why I have it, but when something comes my way, I immediately say it could be worse. That's where my mind goes. It could be worse. Most people say it should be better. Right? Oh, I'm pissed off. This job sucks. I say, well, I could be living in Syria. I could be in Siberia. I could be missing a leg. Right? That's where my mind goes. And so if you just flip that in your mind, your life changes dramatically. It's like putting on Spartan goggles, and all of a sudden everything is blue skies, because it could be worse. You flip the slide. This is a great slide. You guys should take some notes on this. This is the life cycle of any challenge you're going to take on in your life. Get married, join the military, build a business, get a job, run a marathon. This is exactly what you're going to go through. And I'm going to make you better at this if you guys take notes and really start to grasp this. So if you can, take notes of this, because I guarantee you every challenge you take in life, this is the road you go through. So it starts out on the left at peak excitement, right? You commit. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to get married. I'm going to run a marathon. Whatever you commit to, you commit. And you're super excited about it because you haven't really thought through all the shit that's coming your way, right? Then what happens? You got to start delaying gratification. You got to stop dating if you're getting married. You got to stop eating cookies. You've got to start going to bed early if you're training for the marathon. You've got to get up early. You've got to stop drinking. Do you guys, have you ever heard the cookie test or the marshmallow test from Stanford University, 1970s? So 1972, Professor Walter Mischel puts a bunch of children in cubicles. He offers the kids cookies or marshmallows. He says, if you eat the marshmallow now, that's fine, but then you don't get another one. If you don't eat it, when I come back into the room, I'll give you a second one. Well, 5-10 minutes later, he comes back in through. Most kids ate the cookie or the marshmallow. Kids that didn't, he gave them a second one. He followed the kids for 30 years. And guess what he found? Every kid that waited had a better life, better SAT scores, better marriage, better cars, better job. Everything in their life was better. And so I got a funny story with my son, which you've heard, Colonel Johnson. I tested my son. My son was 5, 6 years old, and I wanted to find out, would he be one of these kids that would take the cookie or the marshmallow? So we had a scoop of ice cream one night, and I said, look, Jack, and we never eat junk food, and I said, you could have the scoop, or if you wait, I'll give you 2. And I had my timer on my phone. About 3 minutes into it, I looked down, he looks up, and he said, Dad, how long do I have to wait to get 15 scoops? But that's the message here today. The message here in life, we're playing for 15 scoops, right? So you got to start delaying gratification if you want to achieve anything, if you want to achieve that, whatever it was that you committed to. Then what happens? Then you start getting disillusioned because you don't want to wake up at 4 a.m. anymore. It sucks, right? You don't want to not eat the cookie. You don't want to go to bed early. You don't want to not go out on Friday night and have drinks. You guys ever heard, will it make the boat go faster? Write that down and Google it. There's a great story, I'm going to screw it up. UK rowing team. They want to win a gold medal. They're competing against, I believe it's Australia is going to beat them. There's no chance these guys are going to beat the Australians. The coach puts in place this mantra. Here's what we're going to do for the next 12 months. Every decision we make, we're going to say, will it make the boat go faster? Hey guys, let's go to the movies. Will it make the boat go faster? No, we're not going to the movies. Hey guys, let's go have ice cream. Will it make the boat go faster? No, let's not go have ice cream. They ended up getting the gold medal. It was that simple. Every decision they make, they said, would it make the boat go faster? So that's what we're talking about there. Anyway, disillusionment sets in. I'm sure it set in for them 8 months in. It was terrible, right? Just like disillusionment probably set in for all of you after you joined the military. It was exciting. Then you're in, and you're like, this sucks. And I don't mean that negatively, but it's just the reality of anything we attack in life. Then what happens? Then the naysayers pile on. I told you she was no good to marry. I told you you'd never run a marathon. It was going to hurt your shins. It was this, it was that. Most people quit at that point, just like the people that quit in my businesses in Vermont, right? That's when everybody's piling on. It sucks. You're tired of it. You want out. Doesn't even look like you're going to finish whatever it is you went to attack. The difference between success and failure at that moment in time is your frame of reference. It's the goggles we talked about, right? So if you came from the Ukraine and all you did was eat like raw meat that you had to go kill out in the woods, and all you had were cold showers, and you don't even know what a couch is, you're probably not quitting right then. People could say whatever they want. You're not quitting. I wasn't quitting when they told me you're not getting into Cornell. I wasn't quitting when I was running out of money in my businesses because I saw my dad lose everything. I saw all these guys go to jail. I saw people get killed, and I said, I could deal with this. It's not so bad. So when we talk about changing frame of reference today, and we'll take some notes, remember that is the key to success or failure. So let's say you succeed. Let's say you choose the right path and you come out the other side, and you use some grit and perseverance and you finish. Here's the beauty of success. Success breeds success. There's something in the brain called future memory. And what that means is when we succeed at something, even little things, it releases endorphins in the brain, chemicals, right? It's like a drugstore released in your head. Well, the next time you start something new and you commit to something, well, your brain gets a little taste of what it's going to be like at the finish line. That's why boxers, they would take boxers and put them in the ring with layup fights that they're likely going to win, because if you win 2 or 3 times, you're likely going to win the 4th time. You're getting that little taste in your brain. So it's not that you can't succeed if you fail. Failure is okay, but you're more likely to succeed if you know what success tastes like. So when you're about to make that decision to give up in a marriage, or give up on the military, or give up on whatever the decision is you made, the commitment you made, think about that and say, gee, could I just push through? Because if I push through, I'm more likely to succeed next time around. You flip that? Next slide. All right, so here's where we're going to take some notes. So I'm writing a book right now, and the book is going to cover 10 attributes, let's call them, or things that I want you to hone in on. I want people to hone in on, because if you could nail these 10 things, you'll 10x your life. And it's all the stuff we've been talking about. So first thing you got to do is find your true north, find your purpose. Have anybody heard that term before? So it's basically what you'd want on your tombstone. Where do you want to go in your life? And by the way, it can change, right? Like the first 10 years of my life, my true north was different than today. Today, my life is really focused on changing 100 million lives. When I was 13 or 14, I wanted to make money. That was my true north. So why don't we take a minute, and why don't you guys just write down what you think, and ladies, write down what you think your true north is. And you can go back when you get home later tonight, you can take a look at it. But if we nail these 10 things, you will 10x. Your life will be 10 times better. You'll be 10 times more likely to succeed. But you got to know what it is you're going after. You can't go into a car and not type into the GPS where you want to go and get anywhere, right? You got to know where you're going if you want to get there. And so true north is basically knowing where you're going. By the way, this is a hard question. I have an online course, and people take weeks to figure out what their true north is. Weeks. So I'm giving you 1 minute. Next thing is, let's talk about making a commitment. Then you got to make a commitment. You got to make lots of commitments in life. But committing is different than being interested. And what I found with those businesses in Vermont that we talked about was those people I met were just interested. Like, farming sounds cool. Living in Vermont sounds cool. Running a business, man, that sounds great. They're just interested. Committed is, no, I'm going to stick. Committed's like the post office, right? Like the military, like rain or shine or bullets or blood, we're there. And so you got to learn. You guys have heard the joke, the chicken or the pig at breakfast, right? The pig is committed. Pig gives you bacon. Like the chicken's just interested, right? Gives you an egg. You guys got to be committed. And so take, again, let's take a minute and think about, if you know what your true north is, what are the commitments you're willing to make to nail the true north? Like what commitments are you willing to make a difference in the world, have a great family life, and have financial freedom? Right? You got to write that down. You got to look at it every day. They say an average man with extreme focus achieves success. I'm below average, but I am so damn focused. And so what we're talking about with commitment is just getting extremely focused on the task at hand. All right, fuel your enthusiasm. What does that mean? I can't tell you. I've had thousands of employees. I'm sure Colonel Johnson's had 10,000 men and women under him. And boy, you can taste the person that's enthusiastic versus a person that like sucks energy from you. Be enthusiastic, and that's what I did with my first business with the organized crime customers. Was when I went in the backyard, I didn't just clean the pool. I straightened up the lawn furniture. I straightened up the shed. I was extremely enthusiastic to be there. I was happy. I didn't even ask for money. I was so happy to be there. You could pay me, not pay me. It didn't matter. That difference that people notice, people want to be around that. They don't want to be around energy drains, people that aren't enthusiastic, that are mopes to be around. So if you could figure out a way to put enthusiasm into your life, you're going to nail life. By the way, I carry swim goggles with me everywhere and a headlamp. Why? Because I'm really enthusiastic about being fit. So if I could have these little cues with me in my backpack, well, then there's no excuses. I try to get rid of all the excuses for not doing the things I'm enthusiastic about. So think about that as well. What are you and by the way, hopefully you're enthusiastic about the things that you need to commit to hit your true north. Because if you're not enthusiastic about them, you're probably not going to get where you're trying to go. Delay gratification, we talked about it. How many go out drinking on Friday night? And it's okay, I'm not picking on anybody, and watch football or the games, all night with the buddies and are belching and farting, because that's probably what you're going to be doing in 20 years, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if your true north is to be a business owner and a billionaire, that's probably not what you should be doing on Friday night, right? How many people sleep in till 9 a.m.? Probably not what you should be doing if you want to nail some of your commitments. How many people are eating tons of junk food and smoking cigarettes? Probably not what you should be doing if you want to be, if your true north is to be a very healthy guy with a healthy family or woman. And so the point is, take a minute and write down, you know what they are, the things that are short-term pleasures that you're partaking in that aren't getting you closer to your goals. I can't judge you. I can't judge somebody that's smoking or doesn't wake up early. I have my own things I'm interested in. You have your own things. It might be okay for you. But take a minute, and because if you change some of those things, change your whole life. You flip the slide, please. Maximize your time. What do I mean by that? Every decision I make, I'm a maniac, right? So we're in a taxi, we're in a car. The team here was kind enough to drive me from where the Spartan race is taking place to here. I'm not sitting in the car wasting time chit-chatting. I'm on my computer doing work. We got here, I'm immediately doing work. Any chance I get, I'm not, and again, if you don't do that, that's okay, but I have a different true north. I have different goals I'm trying to achieve, and so that means I don't waste any time. I was up at 5 a.m., I'm immediately working from the moment I wake up. I had a few moments to work out before I got here. I did my 300 burpees, I took a cold shower under a hose at your base, and I got dressed, and I don't waste any time. Again, take a minute and write down some of your time wastes. My favorite analogy with this is we all make 100 decisions a day, 500 decisions a day, tiny little decisions, potentially insignificant decisions. But if I was an astronaut and a decision was like a dial in the cockpit, right? And I turned the dial a millimeter to the right, no big deal. It's like a silly little decision of not working out in the morning or not taking a shower or not getting cleaned up or not being enthusiastic when you see somebody, right? Insignificant decision. Except, in my example, you end up on the wrong planet by turning the dial to the right a little bit, right? So like the little decisions on a daily basis add up and point you in a direction on whether or not you're going to hit your target. So don't waste time. I'm sure you could write some examples of what you waste time on. One of the things we're doing now in our company, we have 250 employees. I'm analyzing what people do on a daily basis, including myself. I get 600 emails a day. Well, what am I wasting my time doing? Am I spending a lot of time answering emails that are not important? Because I want to be doing the things that are important and not doing the things that aren't important. You'd be surprised if you just analyzed your day tomorrow. Wake up and write down every hour what you did from the moment you might find that there are 5 hours a day that you're not doing anything important. You could be studying another language. You could be doing something that's getting you closer to your true north. Get gritty. Everybody here knows what grit is. This is the grittiest group on the planet. Grit is that ability to push through, in the example of Cornell University or any of the other examples, to push through when things suck, like that young piano player that's playing the piano every day, 3-4 hours a day, and he's not getting, or she's not getting any better, and 4 years in, still not getting better, but somehow remains enthusiastic, doesn't waste time, stays focused on playing the piano, and then somehow breaks through. And anything good that's happened to me in my life was that ability to stay gritty and push through when things sucked. One little trick for you to remain gritty if you're not feeling it, and by the way, I've wanted to quit. I want to quit things every day, so it's all of us go through the same stuff, is to find a mentor that's gritty. Everybody should use Colonel Johnson. I'm sure he's gritty, so he could be everybody's mentor. But you hang out with people that are gritty, and it rubs off on you. When I first got into doing crazy races, these adventure races I found a team that did this, that would go across Alaska in the winter, 30 below temperatures, waist-deep snow. And just by being around them, I got grittier. I wasn't prepared for that kind of stuff. But you hang out with people that do stuff, and they pull you up in life. You hang out with people that don't, they pull you down. Attack adversity. What do I mean by that? There's a woman, I think in the control booth, she drove me here, and she said, how do you do this Spartan race on Saturday? I'm really afraid of it. And then yesterday I was with a woman, one of my wife's friends. She said, man, I'd love to do the Spartan race, but I'm really afraid. And what is fear? Fear, if you really analyze fear, fear is, let's say you're afraid of dying or you're afraid of getting hurt. We're all going to die. We're all going to get hurt. And so if you can just come to terms with that stuff's going to happen anyway, fear is not really that big a deal. What the great samurai used to do, I don't know if you guys have heard this before, the samurai, I guess every night before they went to bed, they would visualize burning all their possessions and all their family, because that's what they were most fearful of. People don't want to lose the stuff they have. They don't want to lose their possessions. They don't want to lose their family, right? And so they burn everything in their mind at night. So then in the morning, one, you're happy to see everybody still alive. Nobody's burned. All your stuff's still around. But two, you no longer have the fear of losing that stuff, so you become a better warrior. That's what they believed. They become better warriors when they were fighting somebody. So I say, and this is what I do in my life, go straight into the fire. Like, I'm afraid of sharks. And so what I do, I swim in the ocean, right? Whatever I'm afraid of, I go right. I don't want to take a cold shower, I go take a cold shower. I do what I don't want to do, what I'm fearful of. I attack adversity. And the beauty is you can build an immunity towards it. You can get stronger. You can get more capable of handling the tough stuff. Adjust your frame of reference. We talked about that. Now here's a great thing about frame of reference and adversity. You could train for it. So what I do every morning is I manufacture, just like Spartan Race, I manufacture adversity. And all of you can do this if you don't do it already. I do burpees. Everybody knows what a burpee is. Burpees suck. They never get better. I do them every morning. And I did them at the base 2 hours ago. And I do them because when I find out an employee quit, or I find out that some of our customers left us, or I find out that we can't make payroll at the end of the week, I say to myself, well, thank God I'm not doing burpees. I can deal with what I'm dealing with right now. So I manufacture adversity and do my burpees. I take a cold shower, and it makes the rest of my day that much better. You flip the slide? I think that's the last one. So anyway, hopefully you took notes. Those 9 techniques, those attributes, those things I'm working on for this new book, I promise you, if you can harness those, you will be much more resilient.
It was a fantastic event. The speaker really addressed the crowd. He made us think of real life goals and how to set them and how to achieve success. I think the biggest takeaway was work on grit and resilience and how to step outside of our comfort zone. And the only way to really achieve success is to push those boundaries and get uncomfortable in order to break through those boundaries.
I recommend it to everybody. I wish we could get a copy so we can give it out to the different soldiers. But it's very motivating. A lot of soldiers go through a lot of failures, and they have to pick themselves up and keep trying again. They're not going to let you just fail and walk away from it. You fail a PT test, you're going to try again, you're going to pass, you're going to work hard to pass. As a soldier, you learn never to fail, never give up. So that's something that is helpful to see different ways of how to overcome things.
Basically, the idea is I realize that when we face really tough challenges, if we're able to escape them and just run away, that doesn't help us succeed. What helps us succeed is when our back is against the wall and we have to head straight into it and deal with those problems. Maybe for a day, maybe for a week, maybe for a month. But that's what makes someone successful, because when your back's against the wall and you have no choice but to succeed, you succeed. Whereas if there's an escape route, you can get away from it, you can quit, you're not going to be successful in most instances. That makes sense.